Good evening. This is Austin Moak back with Babylon Radio with my series of podcasts. We're just underway and we're just beginning. And as for my fellow followers, I want to thank you for tuning in and becoming a part of the School of Rastafari, which is just being founded and envisioned and set forth in what I want to begin to bring an audience of Rastas and other people of other spiritual backgrounds to my school, which is really just a Facebook page right now, but in the future it's going to grow into something greater. But I want to welcome aboard my fellow friend who is actually not in acquaintance with myself right now. We grew up together, and I want to speak to him. And as we grew up, and as I told you I had a dream, and my dream was to begin a movement, and that movement later in life became to understand and to be understood as the calling unto Rastafari. As I begin to tell a little bit about my story, I'm going to talk about some of my childhood this evening, and then later forth we're going to go into the mystery behind the Bible and the mystery behind what is going on in different world affairs and different hot topics of discussion. There's a lot to be told. There's a lot to be said. These podcasts are just a very beginning for listeners who want to take the time to take enlightenment further, to follow my path as the leader and the teacher of my faith of Rastafari. Give me one moment. I'm enjoying some. I'm not sure if it's Arabic or some kind of organic decaf coffee, actually. There was a time back in elementary school I used to get picked on as a kid, and I didn't know why I got picked on as a kid, and the reason being is there's a story to this faith of Rastafari, and why I was chosen to teach Rastafari. And I believe that the magic of the world gave me this spiritual calling. But it begins, and it's a long, lengthy story as it's ever evolving. But as I give into these lectures and these podcasts, I'm going to give bits and pieces of the story. So back to elementary school, I used to be a kid that used to roam the school from group to group. I was never a kid who looked upon other people as prejudice. I never stood against I never stood alongside being prejudiced. I was very accepted, and I fair gave my acceptance back. As I grew older, I found that getting picked on was something that was over redundant and over occurring to the normal standard of any child experiencing in elementary school. Point being is there was one individual who was known as the bully, and as the bully once indicted himself in telling me a secret. He told me, Ryan, the reason why people hate on you is because well they know one day, they know you got they know you got something behind you, and they don't really care for it. And I looked over to him, and I said, what do you mean? He said, well, your father is, he's a priest, isn't he? I said, yeah. He said, well, the kids don't like you because they know you're popular because your dad's a priest. And I never thought of being recognized after my father, but later forth, I carried forward the kind of role play of a preacher's kid, and as we're gonna learn and as we're gonna go forth, my dad's teaching actually became corrupt over the Anglican Church, and it became deceitful over the Anglican Church. And this is a calling to bring forth a vision. My dad once professed, but the history and the wisdom behind it was never told, and it was never gifted as his calling to the church became to be a scandal, which will carry forth in more story down the road. Tonight I want people to welcome aboard new listeners, as this doesn't really have a Rastafari vibe to it. I am going to be teaching heavy and deep spirituality throughout my outlets in my speaking. My name's Ryan. My first name's Ryan. My last name's Moquin, and as I've said, I've gifted myself a radio name, Asta Moke, and that is my Rastafarian recognition of oneself. I believe part of the practice of being a Rastafarian is to give yourself a name that means something, and I'll go ahead and play back my name. My last name is Moquin, and I got the nickname from some friends as a child, Moke, and it stuck with me. And I always played it back and forth. I always said, my name's Ryan, but I go by Moke, and that's kind of how I carried forth my nickname. And then later on, I went ahead and played a little pun, or not even a pun, but a little spin on Rasta by cutting it short with an accent and giving myself a first name, Asta. It is in part of a spiritual enlightenment. I'm not trying to sell or advertise a nickname or a celebrity name per se, for that's been done too many times. We're going to learn that the way people played power was deceitful. And the way my calling to the power of Rastafari is going to be the documentation of what other people didn't do. You don't gain an audience overnight. You have to profess something, and in my first teaching of Rastafari, this is going to be more than a lecture of a podcast, more than a blog of free write that I've done for about a year and a half now. It's going to become a website that allows for different teachings, different lectures. I want to bring it to presentations. I want to bring it to hopefully conferences one day, and actually cultivate culture under Rastafari, and to furthermore it into a teaching of worldwide acceptance. So my foundation is acceptance. I believe in acceptance, and it's a morality and a philosophy Jesus Christ once taught. And if you can't accept, how could you learn to accept yourself? And that was never the issue for me. But the issue was I accepted so much in the world, I learned that people took advantage of that acceptance, and I learned that that's not the way the world should work. So the meaning here is that I'm bringing forth a teaching, and I want to be recognized as a teacher, and that's my my first call to action. As I'm speaking over a microphone, a podcast is bare minimal, but I am just experimenting and I'm working with what I got. But tonight I want to go into talks on what I've discussed. I actually posted a video called The Holy Judaic Truth. I'm not sure if I'm going to be able to repost that video because of some music I put over it. So I'm learning. So if I have to take that one down, it will be discussed later. But tonight's message is going to be something that is cultivated over the message of MDMA and ecstasy. I last touched base on Terence McKenna and what he believed in the message to the mushroom, but I'm going to go ahead and carry forth beginning teaching on the psychoactive chemical MDMA, which is often referred to Molly or ecstasy on the streets. I actually went to a rave once. This was down in New Orleans, and I decided to bring some ecstasy with me. And what happened was the talent that I was going to see actually showed up beforehand and was getting ready outside the club. And she was a local resident DJ, and I was there early to kind of just get the vibe and check out the scene. That's kind of just who I was. I was a club kid, still am, always will be. But this girl was actually taking a break from her residency at one club and actually opening up for some talent. I think the talent was the M Machine, and we didn't get into any discussion, but we caught eyes, and I kind of gave her the smirk, saying I bet, and that was all. But the point of the story is that resident DJs usually don't leave their clubs. They hold it for a reason, because they're good DJs, but they're not famous DJs. And she had switched clubs and kind of traded sides, and she was actually opening up for a bigger talent, a more known talent, the M Machine. That's a shout out to Beverly Skills. Great DJ, electronic music. I'll give her house music at the end of the day, and we'll talk. We'll touch base and talk about Beverly's music more down the road. She's a great DJ. As we learn, what I'm after is that I have to begin to create a vision, and in this vision is going to be a foundation, and in this foundation is going to be a calling to cultivate culture. So if you come across my Facebook page and go, what the hell's going on over here? This ain't Rastafari, this ain't Bob Marley or His Imperial Majesty. You're going to learn that there's a lot more out there than Bob Marley and than His Imperial Majesty. I've already touched base on the inside job of genocide George W. Bush executed upon our country back in 2001. And this is something that is going to bring will to people and actually bring forth talk and bring forth what my words have to say on our country that once stood for freedom and rooted deception. But for this evening, I'm going to give the message onto a topic of Timothy Leary, and as Timothy Leary will be a hot subject for my work, I like to remind people, just because I bring people up doesn't mean it's going to be once and for all. It's a touching on their work. Timothy Leary once professed out in San Francisco that Jesus Christ was a man that believed in one thing and one thing only, and that was keeping true love true. And he professed this to himself. He didn't profess it to his people, but he believed that Jesus Christ believed that keeping true love was the mysticism behind life, to bring it back to what would be known as a fairy tale, for say, as a man and a woman fell in love and they found each other in life and they carried forth a family. But Timothy Leary had a different vision, and actually over ecstasy he began his teaching on psychedelic use. What is peculiar is ecstasy doesn't really put the fairy tale story alongside of what Jesus Christ once taught, of this magic feeling of two people meeting, whereas ecstasy is kind of that mysticism, and is kind of that well, it's not a reality, it's really an experience of feeling love in the dimension of beyond all heights. What we're going to learn is Timothy Leary distributed MDMA for a reason. He believed in what we're going to learn as free love. And as free love is a part of my teaching, I'm going to teach that one love in Rastafari is actually a deception on what Rastafari really is. One love is held upon Christianity, and we're going to learn that prophecy was told that taking things to another way of life would deceive the man that was called to that way of life. And that's all fine and dandy, but they weren't expecting me. So we're going to go back to Timothy Leary and how he envisioned how ecstasy would actually free love. Timothy once spoke to a congregation outside up in Northern California, and he taught that free love would be possible, but it would be possible only if you could set your heart free. And in doing so, you would have to relieve yourself from commitment, and you would have to give your love in a manner of holding back the commitment of what Jesus Christ taught as sanctity of marriage. But he didn't understand that hurt and attachment is something that is undeniable. And what he didn't understand was that learning what he envisioned to be, well, what the man would want, and that'd be all the women in the world, or all the possible women in the world he could give love back to, would be a man's heart's desire. and he wasn't a fool for that. But he didn't understand how a woman's heart would be able to understand such a message. What we're gonna know is that free love and in one love is magic in the world that it's going to be set forth into what you want to believe in and what you want to take your path in. And what I'm going to put forth is that Rastafari is not a sanctifying way of life and faith that is putting down marriage. I give that back to Jesus Christ, and I give back a way of life of Rastafari to be a way of free love. But my free love is going to be something that is taught, and it is going to be something that a mom can hold and a woman can hold from no hurt and no pain, in a sense of what Jesus Christ left open. But back to Timothy Leary and his profession on what ecstasy had. Ecstasy was being massively distributed in the Dallas area, in the suburbia of Dallas. There was a chemist that was mass distributing MDMA. And what they were doing is they were actually laundering the illegal substance back then. I don't think it was scheduled yet. Actually laundering it through psychology, and they were recommending it through psychology and psychotherapy. And what happened was the club connotation of this being a club drug raised to a new understanding that this drug is just more than enjoyment at the club, but it's a therapeutical substance that can actually bring benefits to what Timothy Leary later professed, and what we're going to learn that it is being currently studied and currently evolving through the multi-association of psychedelic studies, and how I got ignored by my call to Rastafari. So fair enough, guys. What we're going to do is we're going to give it back to Timothy Leary, and we're going to actually understand that Timothy Leary was the man behind ecstasy. Alexander Shulgin was the chemist behind it, but he did not hold the vision of what it could take forward into society, medicine, and culture. There was once a great philosopher, early back when, this is during Greece and Roman rule, and the story goes there was a god that upheld the world, and he upheld the world over his strength, and through his strength he could conquer all evil, and conquering all evil would allow him to uphold the world in the manner of justice. This mythology goes back to Atlas and Hercules and other Roman Greek gods and other ancient mystic legends that metaphored the same symbolia behind it. But for the great philosopher I speak upon, he once philosophized that if a man were to take upon a cliff, and then if you were to look upon what the cliff had to offer, he could make one or two one or two subjections. I could jump and kill myself, or I could, 2, walk away and live with myself. And the great philosopher said, well, fuck jumping and killing myself. I'm just going to walk away and say, well, since I just subjected myself, I guess philosophy is a science, so fuck me. Well, he later went on his walk and said, well, I subjected myself to, the philosophy of a cliff, so fuck science, it was philosophy to begin with. As we furthermore and take forward and learn that all these studies and all these subjects tie together, it was philosophy that would uphold them all, and that's why I followed my call to philosophy. There's nothing like it. It never gets old. It never ends. Every man and every woman holds a philosophy. What I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and take a smoke break. I'm coming up just short of a half hour. And I'm going to go take a smoke break, and we're going to get into what I call breaking the book. So, as I carry forward and speak more upon what I believe in and what I hold to Rastafari, there is a movement in Rastafari to create it as not a church, but a faith of worship. What we're going to learn is that Rastafari is a philosophy, and not a religion. It is a faith, but a philosophy can still be a faith, and a faith can still be a philosophy. But my teaching is not going to ever hold a doctrine, for a doctrine becomes corrupt, and a doctrine becomes rewritten. But for this section, I'm going to go into breaking the book, and we'll carry forward with this section. If you had to sit down with yourself and think to the past of your most despised ex-girlfriend or ex-boyfriend, and or to think, if I could have sex with them one more time, would it fix the relationship we had? And what would come out of a one night stand of an ex-boyfriend or an ex-girlfriend? Could we carry forward into loving each other once again? We live in a world where love is very deceived, and love is very played upon. There's two things in life: there's love and there's lust. And the lust in life is what is driven to take people away from knowing love at the heart. But what Jesus Christ taught was that love was held upon recognizing the heart in the other person, and love would be corrupt if you were to bring forth that love to another man or another woman. What I'm going to share forward is a new faith and a new philosophy of that a man can share his love in a manner of bringing forth a commitment with more than one woman. And that's the true teaching to free love, and what this is held behind is that every man and every woman has a yearning for lust, and lust is something that gets in the way of true love. And in this day and age, the sanctity of marriage is not what it used to be, and Rastafari is not going to be carried forward into recognizing sanctifying marriage as a holy sacrament. What we're going to do is teach a philosophy to say that if a man wants to become a Christian and understand the Christian story and live his life and the rest of his life with one woman, he may do so. But as his path may be to share his love, he can still be a Rastafari as well. But if that man were able to take another woman and be a part of his life and be in love, that would be a sanctifying of true love under Rastafari. As this is heavy and deep in discussion of heart talk and yearning of what the spiritual being is after, I want people to recognize that there's a message behind Rastafari that hasn't been taught, and that is that Rastafari is the philosophy to free love, and for free love always existed for one reason and one reason only. For free love never existed, love would never find itself. As we're gonna learn and as we're gonna begin to find a reason to keep this spirituality, it is to keep it to love, and it is to keep it to goodwill and good moral. I don't play what Jesus Christ taught as sin. This is a stance on discipline. We live in what Jesus Christ taught as original sin. So we're born into sin, and yes, we are. But what's going to be taken forward is the acceptance that Jesus Christ is not the one that is waving his finger at you to say you are in heaven and you are not in heaven, and that's not the message behind my philosophy. For heaven and hell were always a place on earth, and that's the teaching I'm going to bring forward with more spirituality than that. But with that said, I'm gonna go ahead and keep this a short podcast, as I'm trying to get people to follow on and to get people to learn what I'm after, and to get people to understand what I'm after. But I'm going to go ahead and take this section, breaking the book, into another man of conspiracy. His name is Jordan Maxwell, and this is a break on what we were touching of free love. Jordan Maxwell once conspiracized that if aliens had abducted humans to perform experiments in different planets, what would happen to the human race? We would now have an implantation of alien technology on humans, and now interracial mix of alien existence amongst human existence in our planet Earth. And then later forth, this conspiracy of belief was taught and detected through the great mind behind David Icke. David Icke is a British, I believe he's British. He's a conspiracist is what he really is, and he believed in transfiguration. What I want people to understand is that the world is a mystery, but we're not here to fall in love with aliens, and aliens are not here to fall in love with us. But I'm going to go ahead and take forward my teaching to believe that Rastafari is for free love, and it's for the power of the gypsy and the power of the Rastaman. For free love always prevailed. For if you kept your love free, your love would never be lost. I'm gonna go ahead and take this topic of discussion into what I call treating the mic. If you were to hold 3 pennies in your hand and decide which one looked the most golden, you could go ahead and set aside that golden penny and say, well, let's play a little philosophy on it. You could look at the golden penny and say, well, that's the one that caught my eye. But then again, what caught my eye was the gift back on, my 2 cents. And if you were to pick up your 2 cents, you could look back at the golden penny and say, I might have been picking up my 2 cents. That got me the golden penny. What we're gonna bring forth is a pattern of love, and a pattern of what this world has become, and how being able to support a family is becoming harder and harder, and how our recession has never seen a break, and how our minimum wage is killing the chance to persevere the American dream. As a teaching of free love will keep the spirit free, I want to go ahead and further and foremost to all Christians that Jesus Christ gave you a gift of marriage, but I'm going to teach that He never gave you the true yearning of a woman's heart or a true yearning of a man's heart, and that's just the gift I give back in disclosure for this evening's discussion. If a man could have, one wish and say, I'd wish to carry, the power to hold to hold the love for all the women I could, give my love back to. And if a woman could look back and look into the man's eyes and say, if I could have one wish and give you my heart's desire, it would be to have one man that had one wish that said, you wanted to give your love back, but I wanted to give my love back, and I wanted to share it back to the beauty of the world. There's a reason why women are attracted to other women. It's in nature, and it's in evolution of what's going to be taught, as there was a dawn and day and age of orgy in early civilization, most notably in Egypt. What I want the message to be is to not to worry about STDs and not to worry about giving yourself as a lover. Jesus Christ would say, fornication is not nothing he ever taught. That was Babylon. Give your love, and you know what if you give your love, you'll only learn your love better. So for this evening's message, I'm gonna go ahead and give a philosophy onto, for the lack of a better term, fornication. Sometimes you wonder where they come from. If you could take a girl out and wine and dine her and say, red or white, babe, red or white, and she said white, and you looked back at her and you said, Chardonnay. She said, well, you already know me. So you go ahead and you wave the waitress over, and do you mind grabbing a Chardonnay from a girl? And you get the little wink back from the waitress, and you go, what the fuck is going on with this world? Well, this is the truth. We're gonna learn why Chardonnay was the wicked way of women, and this is how a woman would play back her date. Well, babe, I got a Chardonnay for a reason, because I kind of caught that one. And you know what's funny is, when it comes to games and flirts, when I was a flirt, all I have to say, it wasn't a game, wasn't, babe? So when I go to Rastafari, baby girl, I got to say, you know what I'm talking about, Rastafari. I made it for Euro, because all it is was, if you want to get a little Rasta with me, I'll get a little Rasta with you. We'll take it back forth and we'll carry it forward. This is Ryan, carrying forth his Austin Moke on Babylon Radio. Thank you for listening.